All right, welcome back to Total Nonstop Impact, Impact Talk for Impact fans, right here on the YouTube, the Twitch, and wherever you got your podcasts worldwide. I'm joined tonight by Alicia in the house. How you
Hey,
doing, Alicia?
doing great. Enjoying the snow day.
Oh yeah, a little bit more. Like I don't know what you got, but it was just supposed to be a little bit of a dusting, but maybe
Mhm.
a little more than a dusting. Got maybe like inch and a half.
Yeah.
Um,
Yep.
so but enough to make sure to brush a little bit of it away, lay down a little salt because it probably will get a little icy tonight. So,
Oh, yeah. It's
uh,
definitely.
but hey, we got the heat today, and
Yeah.
that's the
It's,
heat of TNA because it's a Thursday. We got the go home show for Genesis. The review will be going all over all the details, the updates to Genesis. But I can't bury the lead too long here. But before I do that, because I do got to give a shout out first.
okay.
Before we even started, our good friend Dr. Gerbs with the
Herbs.
big $20 super chat. Thank you, Dr. Gerbs. Have a good show. Catch you all on the replay. Welcome to the newest member of the Queen Crew Pizza Cat Jr., i.e., Billy Starks.
Oh,
Currently
nice.
only available at Lavender Hour in Findlay, Ohio. Available on the shop soon. Advocat, that 15. That's ADVOCAT 15. You already know. That's a get the discount there. So thank you for Dr. Gerbs, another friend of the show. And good to see so many people already in the chat. The TNI fam coming out big in the chat so far. I'll catch up to everybody in a moment in the chat, but yeah. Well, I was going to say that, but I see everyone. Rayline, slow news day, critical
If you call
gig,
it
slow news day, huh? Like everybody, because like I said, don't want to bury the lead, buried it long enough. Big news today in the wrestling world, not just the TNA world, but this definitely affects the TNA world.
that. Everyone's
Uh,
talking.
but you see the title, the video, WWE and TNA partnership? Question mark. It's not a question anymore. We've seen the partnership for a while, but it's official, Alicia. There is now a multi-year contract in place between TNA Wrestling and the WWE going forward, with obviously the focus on the NXT brand, with cross promotional opportunities with TNA talent, NXT talent. Who knows if it goes beyond that? But obviously, much more of what we saw. Uh, but let's just get I think it's a big enough news. We'll probably go over some details of the press release. But before we even
Mhm.
do that, I feel you're wanting to say something, and I know I saw from our chat that there is some opinions. I was hoping maybe we get some old time TNI heads in here, um, as well as people in the fan. But let us know because I've seen our Discord. If you're a part of our Discord, if not, get the link below. But I think you all know we were going live now. Let us know your opinions because the thing is, in the social media world, so many people are WWE fans. That might crowd if overly, like, I'd say it's overly positive, the feedback out there.
It's, yeah.
But a lot of that is WWE fans. So from the TNA fan perspective, but hey, if you just tuned in tonight because you are a WWE fan, we want to hear from you too because we've seen this relationship to a level. Then it wasn't much near the end of the year, but now it's going to go full on, full steam ahead. So let us know your thoughts in the chat as well. But Alicia, first initial reactions.
We'll see. But one thing I have noticed all across the board, because this conversation topic is coming up for everywhere from deathmatch wrestling to WWE. So, like, it's a big discussion point. But the main thing I've been seeing with this is people's excitement that they're actually maybe going to be able to watch TNA on the regular because it might be broadcasted on, like, the per se Netflix or wherever WWE might be. So that seems to be the big question is people are overall excited, but will they be able to watch because not everybody gets Anthem or has the app.
That is true. That is true. I'll say this. If you're not familiar with the app, because I know sometimes apps, but we're in a new world right now where I think most people, like with the cord cutting and stuff like that, most people have apps for, as you said, Netflix, Max, all these different things out there. And I'll tell you what, TNA, if you're not paying attention to it, at least like if you're like, oh, well, can I get a free trial? Can I like, do I have to just automatically pay for it? The answer is usually no, you don't have to usually pay for it to start. If you pay attention to social media places, if you go to shows, if you look around, you can find a code to get started free that first month of TNA Plus. So it can get you started now. The only thing, obviously, like a show like Genesis, a Big Four, that's part of the not just the normal monthly tier. That's part of that bigger package, or you can buy it separately. But for the TNA Plus monthly specials and the weekly show, you can check all that out. And I'll tell you right now, if you don't know it, the current code, I'll give you a month free. TNI here to help you out. Oh, wow. Nonstop, as in total nonstop impact. So NONSTOP, use that code, get a free month, and check it out, especially if you're having problems with getting access to it, pun intended. But I'm with you, Alicia. I think that's a good thing for sure, that they'll see here about TNA, the talent, that obviously NXT is on the CW broadcast television. That's a great thing, because that's in every home. If you have a TV with a signal, you can get it. You don't have to even have cable for it. You can get it with the old bunny ears. So that's a great thing. But let's not kid ourselves here. Like, we look at these things, and I'm sure we'll talk about it, because there's going to be TNA loyalists. I'm sure when this partnership was going on earlier, had strong opinions on it. But WWE has the name. They're the brand. They're in wrestling. Most people, they're Kleenex. They're the brand, but they're the product that a lot of people think wrestling is. If that has to help TNA in securing a bigger TV
longevity.
And let's not kid ourselves. Like, TNA's been around a long time too. So together, you see what the money that are thrown at these. Now it could be on a streaming service, as you said. It could be on maybe broadcast TV. It could be the relationships that WWE has. Maybe it could show up on the USA Network. Maybe it could show up somewhere. So once again, I don't think that hurts the matter. That can only help negotiations. Sure. And we know they brought in new people in Anthem. Pretty much, this is the goal here. Like, they took WWE's place in Canada with their TV deal. I think if that helps, that will just help the company going forward. But once again, we can get into kind of all the details, and let me definitely catch up, because I know I've been missing a lot of the talk in the chat right now, and I will try to be catching up as we do it. But I did want to check this, because I had a feeling we'd see it, and there's our first Daniel Spencer, head ref at TNA Wrestling. But great to see in the chat, because from time to time, we know there's some people in the company that will be hanging out at the TNI show. So definitely, I know a lot of the talent today, from both on screen, off screen. We're all promoting this message out there today about the partnership. And like I said, Triple H commented, Shawn Michaels, like pretty much all the bigwigs around the
expected.
It is, but once again, these people, everyone has these followings, so the news is getting out there. As you just said, everyone's talking about it. It's the big news out there. But yeah, let us know. Continue in there, letting us know your thoughts. And like I said, I'll try to get to more of the chat as we go. But let me. Do you have any more comments before I'll get into a little bit of the press release on the topic here? But I want to make sure, because I know we talked about a lot of things right there, but I want to give you a chance to say anything else before I go over the press release. Anything else, Alicia, at this time?
Currently, no. I'm curious.
Okay.
I didn't see the press release though, so I'm curious. Maybe I'll have more to say. Because you know me,
Yeah.
I'm not the WWE gal, so
I got
I'm
you.
curious. I'm curious.
And let us know. And I know there's people that definitely say that, and like they kind of went back and forth with everybody. But yeah, let me just kind of I'll hit at least the main parts of it.
For sure.
So WWE, obviously part of TKA Group Holdings, and TNA Wrestling, one of the world's top wrestling brands, and a subsidiary of Anthem Sports Entertainment, today announced a multi-year partnership aimed at creating unprecedented crossover opportunities within WWE and TNA programming for NXT superstars and TNA wrestling stars. I'll just pause right there. Very specific to NXT and TNA. So let's
I
check
mean,
one
that's
there.
what it's been. So
That's
we
what it's been.
surprised?
And no. And I think that's, and you can compare it to other things, but I think it just makes that official. Not to say I don't think that anything could be ruled out, because
Clearly
they'll put main roster members on NXT pretty often, the WWE. So I wouldn't get too hung up on that. But for the most part, remember, it is a developmental brand. So I think that's what makes sense from that's what they're getting out of it.
right.
But
Jordan
let me
Grace was in
continue.
the Royal Rumble,
Okay.
so let's not forget.
Correct.
That's a pretty main show.
Yes. So continuing on with the press release, the agreement will enable talent to garner additional exposure across key WWE and TNA programming, including weekly flagship shows such as NXT, which airs live on the CW, and TNA Impact, select WWE premium live events, and TNA pay-per-views, in turn bolstering their in-ring development with exposure to world-class talent and coaching. Once again, like now you're seeing kind of where they'll show up, which could be anywhere along, obviously, NXT and TNA. Wherever they air, they could show up. But as you just said, that doesn't preclude things like the Royal Rumble. Like, I feel like, hey, Joe Hendry wins at Genesis this weekend. I think there's a good chance he's at the Royal Rumble.
Yeah.
I think there's a very good chance he's at the Royal Rumble. But let's continue on the press release. So now we got some quotes here. This historic relationship demonstrates that collaboration and competition do not have to be mutually exclusive, said Ariel Scherner, Senior Vice President of Content and Distribution for TNA Wrestling and Anthem Sports Entertainment. And you might recognize him on screen as well as Dr. Ariel from years ago. Our partnership allows the TNA wrestling brand and its incredible athletes to reach a significantly wider audience, while giving WWE and NXT stars an opportunity to cross the line and gain valuable experience as they join forces with one of the most talented rosters in professional wrestling today. The response to our collaboration over the past year has been tremendous, and both companies have benefited. But the fans have reaped the greatest rewards from this talent crossover and working relationship. So once again, I think that's followed up by a quote from Shawn Michaels, who's the WWE Senior Vice President of Talent Development. We look forward to growing and evolving our partnership with TNA Wrestling and its outstanding group of athletes by creating new opportunities to further development of our talent and to elevate the viewer experience at home. And then it goes over some of the crossovers. But I think obviously everyone here knows, like, Jordan Grace, Joe Hendry, the matches at some of the big NXT shows, and then all the different talent that has crossed over between the two brands. But yeah, that pretty much is a nutshell. The cross, and I did like to cross the line. Like, hey, that's the motto of the company, and now we're literally in a partnership that just crosses the line over and over again.
It's pretty much the same. I mean, we got to see.
Yeah, it's just official, and
wait and see.
Like, it was almost like such a big deal when this actually happened initially that, oh, here's the like that they were working together, got everyone talking, but that it's now official, promoted as like a multi-year agreement. Not something you see in wrestling. This is a concept that you don't really see happen often. So it's interesting. It's something that definitely, it doesn't feel too surprising because we saw going into this year the huge venues TNA's booking, like big goals that they're going for this year, and you had to do some big things to try to do this, and having stuff more official, marketing, because, and we'll get into some more news in a moment, but like Masha Slamovich was on NXT this past Tuesday, like in the audience, and kind of was teasing an angle with Cora Jade. But like stuff like that. And they actually promoted Genesis on the NXT show. Mm-hmm. So once again, like, hey, you're talking walk-up crowd, the buzz beyond just normally the build for this card that we have for TNA. Mm-hmm. Now you have, and there's the video out there that says Genesis, now NXT on there as well. It's like in the promo. So, you know, obviously there's some other things afoot. But yeah, definitely let us know as well in the chat your thoughts on this, because like obviously over the last handful of, well, how long's it been? That relationship's now going back well in the last year.
Just under a year, I want to say.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, a little under a year. So obviously if you, whatever issues or not you may have had with it, or I think still overall positive. I'm not going to like say that everybody always has different opinions, but let us know what you're thinking now that it's more official. Because I think some people thought maybe it ended, which
because it's been a while since we've seen a crossover.
Yeah. It was more, it felt like the end of the year, especially that TNA kind of went dark near the end of the year.
Yeah.
But now you have a new year to kind of move forward, but obviously you're going to see a slightly different taping schedule and things like that. So it's very interesting how this is all going to shake out, but definitely a lot of news going on. So glad to see it. Looking forward to it. I'm excited. But let me get into. Oh, go ahead. Yeah, so
it's been leaps and bounds better than the promotion with the other guys.
Well, that's a very good point you brought up there,
and surprisingly so.
And I'm not going to say there was no. There were some positives there. There were some positives there. Like obviously we got the Matt Hardy return because of it. You did get Kenny Omega. But once again, you're right. Like they were just pieces, but they all had, let's just say, it all felt like everything in that relationship there was, in the end, you could only get so far. And it was really just, it was more one-sided, that partnership for sure. Like, not that they didn't get anything, but it was like, I'll just never forgive the not having Kenny drop the belt. Like that's unacceptable. That was unacceptable. I don't care like what reasons you say that was, but we all know the reasons. It was politics that
they had to
there's no way. And if upper management agreed to that, and there's no way they did. The idea was, and I know there's been interviews and stuff that Kenny was perfectly fine dropping that belt. But then his management would not let him do so. So that's the issue there. But who knows? That may have then opened the door for them to really look at doing this. And like I said, overall, I think it's positive. I know some people would be like, well, we want bigger names and stuff like that. But I think this is what makes sense for everybody. Like you get more TV time because once again, NXT, they're limited in having their one show. So it gives a platform for everybody now to get more time on television, not only just to promote the brands, promote themselves, get the experience. So I think, and I think you'll see some names here and there now that it's more official. Yeah, like as Aaron Jack said, and I don't know if you saw that. I know it was shared in our group chat, Alicia, but TNA dropped a 16-second promoting Genesis with NXT in it. Can't wait to see who shows up. It feels
And they
like there is
didn't
going to
make
be
fun of
something.
us, dude. They didn't make fun of us.
No, no. Well, that's the thing. That's where it felt like there was give and take. But like once again, there was respect there, and I know it was in character. Some of the previous ones, but there really wasn't a lot of respect. It was the whole thing was trying to throw shade at somebody else. So once again, I think it's a great move. But I always do get people because hey, back during those days where it looked like it could be the end. I was always looking at like who was going to be the purchaser and stuff like the library and where's it going to go and what would be best for the company going forward. Like what had the chance of having the company survive long term. And in the end, that worked out. And I know that the more you get closer to like a big company like WWE, it's going to make some people nervous. I know there's TNI people. I know part of our crew is nervous or believes like, oh, that's just step one of getting sucked in. Uh, and if that's a take from somebody, you can definitely have that take because you've seen that in the past with other things.
Yeah.
But I think that you got a lot of, let's just say, adults in charge right now. I think they're professional. They know what they're doing. I think they're working with each other to get something out of a relationship. Businesses can do that. They can do that. You don't have to just be in it for yourself to take over the other one. That does happen. I'm not going to say it doesn't, but it does not seem like it's going on here. Now, Alicia, I don't know if you've been looking at the chat because I know, and it's great that we have like a lot of people here, a lot of comments. I'm still new here at the controls and the host, so I don't want to miss too much. But like I said, when we start going over more of the show, I might go back and highlight some of the comments because I know there's a lot of good discussion in here and keep it going for sure. I you know me, I'm not a big shameless self promoter, but if you are in the YouTube or the Twitch and do want to do any type of super chats or the bits, they will highlight quicker. So I will make sure if you do that to make sure to get them up there because they get little stars and stuff. So I can usually find them a little faster, but still continue getting the comments in there. I'll try to hit as much as possible. Oh, and you know what? There is one right there I totally missed. So sorry about that, Bell's boy. But thank you for the $20 super chat. Good evening. I'm completely against this so-called cooperation with WWE. The E has never played well with others and never will. I smell a rat in the end. WWE will absorb TNA. I'm sorry, past experiences prove it. And honestly, Bell's boy, I did not see any of your comment there before I just talked about all this. But I definitely respect that opinion. And I don't think it's a valid one to have because we've seen this stuff in this business, in all kinds of businesses, but in the wrestling business, that has happened. But as of now, from what we've seen in this relationship, and I know you'll go, well, if Jordan Grace, which we all believe is leaving shortly to go full time to WWE, was that something where, like, I think she was going to leave regardless, just like Josh Alexander was going to leave after that contract. And that just happens. There's going to be some people that stay, some that go. But the WWE backing, and once again, when I say backing, I want to say partner because I don't want to, because I'm not under the belief at all. I disagree. I don't think, because I know I have friends that longtime TNA fans, people that just love wrestling, that as soon as this partnership, honestly, as soon as TNA Plus was on the same platform that WWE has, were telling me they own them or they're in the process of owning them. I think some people in the TNI crew even went, oh, that's the first step. They're just going to suck them up in the end. But But once I don't think that. Everyone I talk to and see, like, they're still operating as their own thing. Like, I know people will go back, and I was there when ECW and the WWE, and they were sending people, but also putting money into it and things like that. That I don't think so. Like, I think there's obviously talent exchanges, like, but also you have like the Joe Hendry. Like, will this mean some more of the TNA talent that is then looking to ascend might go to WWE?
Mm-hmm.
Possibly, yes. But these opportunities, like, I think you're going to get a lot of good talent. And who knows, maybe some of the NXT people will become full-time TNA people for a while. In the end, I don't think that hurts. I don't think it hurts. But definitely I think we're going to get stuff between both of these thoughts going forward. But let us know. We definitely want to hear all of them. And thank you, Bellsport. And they're Daniel Spencer, which I always like to hear from the people at the company. This is a different regime, which it is. Like, this is the Anthem regime, which obviously that's been now for a while. But even the people at top, it's a different regime from less than a year ago still. We're less than a year from pretty much the top people in charge. Like, there's some holdover at Anthem, but the people doing like the day-to-day, like, that has changed. I'm just making sure here. So I'll just hit a couple other quick news points. But there's definitely a lot of news out there, which does make it here. I'll just kind of highlight Justin Miller. Wouldn't surprise me that the TNA shows in Orlando happen at the Performance Center. Now, some people might be asking, what's Justin Miller talking about with Orlando? I know that Mike Santana had put out his kind of booking schedule, like when he's available for like indies and stuff. And he had put, Orlando on in February for a Thursday and Friday. He has TNA booked on Thursday the 20th and Friday the 21st. Now, obviously, interesting thing saying Thursday and Friday, because Thursday would mean, is that another live Impact? Are we going to get 2 months in a row live Impact? But then also Orlando, Florida, Performance Center, NXT. It does kind of like, especially now that it's been announced as partnership, could we have, if not, like, obviously there's a potential for a venue that's related to obviously WWE and NXT, or obviously at least seeing a bunch of the talent start getting incorporated. But obviously it looks like we're going to see that during this Texas loop. So, but once again, another thing kind of going on there, but I'll get into some other news. But obviously that's the big news. So obviously, as we talk other news, we talk the review, this topic's still going to be here all night. So feel free to continue to talk about it. Like I said, I might go back and get some more stuff in the chat as well. Mm-hmm. But definitely continue to let us know. And hey, if you feel free to put another comment if you thought I may got a missed or anything. But I do want to give a shout out here, because I know a lot of times people do it, but rest in peace to some people. Bob Uecker, big fan of Bob Uecker, the announcer for the Brewers, but also the actor. I was actually he played the announcer in the Major League movies, which loved him just a bit outside. But then when I was growing up, so Alicia, I don't know if you watched it, but I was a big fan of Mr. Belvedere. He was the dad in Mr. Belvedere. And I probably say Mr. Belvedere, and you don't even know what I'm talking about.
It's vaguely in my head, but that wasn't something I watched. But, I can tell you that. I've seen it on a nostalgia show.
Oh, yes. Maybe the ones that always highlight the very special episodes. They had a very special episode. But also to director David Lynch, who passed away today.
That's a bummer.
Yeah,
Very creative.
What surrealist, existential type director.
Oh, his movies are nuts.
Yeah, then Twin Peaks, obviously.
Mulholland Drive.
Oh. So definitely some legends right there. So definitely want to give them a shout out. But going on in the news as well, like obviously we had a lot of big news there, but in some other news, congratulations to Eddie Edwards on his 11-year TNA anniversary. Kudos. Ow! Want to give a nice shout out there. And then PWI, who at times I go after because of certain lists and acknowledgments they make. But this one I will give them kudos because I think it's well deserved. But PWI awarded the 2024 PWI Stanley Weston Award to Mickey James and Gail Kim. And if you're wondering what that award does, it recognizes lifetime achievement by a professional wrestling personality. So kudos to some TNA legends.
That's pretty dope.
That is.
Well earned, too.
Well earned for sure. Could not go because most people, when I occasionally will mention like the Mount Rushmore, Gail is always on the Mount Rushmore. For sure. So I'm just double checking the chat real quick, just to make sure I didn't miss anything. Which if I did, let me know, and I will get back to it as we continue. But for a huge news story like that, hey, just over a half hour, I think we can go into the review right now. So this is the January 16th edition of Impact on Wrestling TV, on Impact on AXS TV, and the TNA Plus app. So let's dig in. And this is the go-home show for Genesis. So obviously we're going to be talking a lot of the stuff that's building towards Genesis, but we obviously know a lot of people that are focused on the WWE, NXT, TNA partnership. Continue to let us know in the chat, and we will definitely hit on some of that as we continue. And if you're not watching this live, definitely leave comments behind, and we'll respond to it, or get on that Discord, follow the link below, and can chat about it as much as you want. I know the Discord was a little maybe not as busy lately, but I know it got all kinds of comments this afternoon and evening due to that news. So
hot topic.
I never just talking your goth face.
App, so I'm in the lost in the sauce.
Lost in the sauce. So we're starting out with a little, I think you could say X Division action. We get Leon Slater taking on Trent 7. But first, before we got that, we had the so-called king, Frankie Kazarian, joining commentary. And we always got to go with, say it, Alicia, say it.
Is it an Elvis persona?
He does seem like he wants to be in the flying
like a
Elvises.
Modern day Elvis. That's the vibes I'm getting.
He's coming off like the king. That's the king he is. He's the Elvis impersonator.
The king of blue suede shoes. Okay, I got that. All right, it makes sense now. He start coming out in blue suede shoes.
Well, yeah, with the sunglasses are very Elvis, so that's a real king, baby. So
isn't he wearing like scarves and stuff too, or like?
Oh, he loves his scarves. He loves his scarves. He's all about the scarves.
Yeah. It's like a modern day Elvis. All right. I get it now. I got it. Okay.
So, well, what'd you think? What did you think of this opening contest?
Good for Leon Slater. It was an interesting showcase because these are two very different styles of wrestling meeting in
Very
the ring,
different.
and I think they played off of each other really well. But yes, this was good for Leon because I think he deserves a push.
Yes. Yeah, I
Kid,
think when
very
he's had
talented.
some chances, he's really showed like, oh, he had that X Division title match with
Very
Bailey,
standout.
and it was like, oh man, if they could run that back and have him win it next time.
Mhm.
What'd you think of like I've seen him obviously like go from inside the ring and jump over the post,
Mhm.
like do that move. But how about him going from the tunnel and jumping over me in the crowd and getting him on the outside of the ring?
It's
Uh,
pretty spectacular. How did that feel for you, Bill?
oh, I saw him
Did you feel
lining
the
up.
breeze?
I'm lining up. I'm like, I better duck a little bit, give him some extra clearance here.
Did you feel
But
the breeze going over your head?
oh yeah, I was like, woo, he's going over me. It was like a jet plane. Uh, but then, and that was obviously the finish into the 450. So, but no, great win, and obviously got a little backstory from Kaz on commentary that
Mhm.
like him taking all the credit for wrestling him over there and getting the kid a contract.
Oh yeah.
Which Tom said everything but you getting him, like you signing him. It's true. So, but once again, Leon, big stuff. This could be a big year for Leon,
I
and
think so.
I think he could be one of those guys that now that we're talking about this NXT relationship, this partnership being more. I could see a lot of those talent going back. Like I could see Leon showing up there and people coming in and facing Leon because that like you could have some fun with matches there. Like a lot
Yeah.
of athleticism, a lot of
He'd
and
fit right
still
in.
like so young, so young. So very cool way to open the show. And that's obviously from everything we've heard and know that's probably the end of the Trent 7 at this point in TNA. So
Yeah.
once again, hey, put the kid over on your way out. Respect.
Yeah. No harm, no foul. And good
Yeah.
luck.
Good luck. Good luck, kid. See you down the road, as they say.
So long,
Uh,
not goodbye.
there you go. Now we saw we saw that extended Joe Hendry look last week, but we get more. Like we get more of Joe Hendry going in to that title match with Nick Nemeth. So the thing they're doing a great job here is really like if you're new to the product, or even like if you're just a viral fan of Joe Hendry, uh, they're really the last couple of weeks giving you the life story of Joe Hendry. Like they're building up the
They're making
guy
it
to be,
important
yeah, they're making it important. I think that's the
for
best
sure.
way to say. Like they're saying, like, hey, if he's going to be the guy, the face of the company, we're giving you every reason to know everything about him. Not just like he's a song, he's a gimmick. It's like here's the guy. Here's the guy.
Hmm.
Why you root for him? Why he's so prestigious? Why he's going to be the champ? So, but I thought this was good. This is something where I think at times we've seen kind of video like we've always talked about some standout segments backstage, vignettes, things like that, but this really felt appropriate to build the match. Like this is obviously the go home show for Genesis. They're really putting in the work on this show, and even the last couple weeks you can see this is a proper build.
There's been buildup, yeah.
Not everyone's had a proper build. There's some where it's like, oh, those matches had a proper build. The main event had a proper build. A
Right.
couple other, but it'd be like, I don't know about the rest. Like this main event is getting the proper build, and we'll get into some other stuff tonight. Some other matches have definitely been built up pretty darn well. So let's continue. So this is followed up. What a segment! Friend of the show, the personal concierge, the Iceman. Um, this is now time for the pre-launch party, the pre-launch championship party of Elegance. So He welcomes Ash and Heather by Elegance to the ring. Ahead of obviously their match this weekend against Spitfire. And then there's cloth at the two corners, and what's beneath them? Cardboard cutouts of Ash and Heather by Elegance with the tag titles already around their waist. Ash does a thank you speech, and this thank you speech is an all-timer. We might have to get some sound bites from that, because she thanks everybody. She thanks Dr. Finkelstein. Big fan of Dr. Finkelstein for the Botox. The veneers she thanks. She's thanking everybody. But the most important,
she's grateful.
Yeah, the most important person she's thankful and grateful for, none other than her personal concierge. So kudos to George. What a guy. What a guy. Tom was not happy about this on commentary. He was not showing the respect to the personal concierge. But come on, man. He's gold. We love the personal concierge here. Friend of the show.
He's good at his job. What can he say?
He was great. And then also goes to Heather. And then she thanks Ash and the Elegance brand. But then who comes out? The champs come out. Danny Luna and Jody Thread. They're there to interrupt the party. They call it a case of delusion. They call them Barbie dolls, wannabe Barbie dolls. And then they toss them out of the ring. And what do? They destroy the cardboard cutouts. At least they tried to destroy the cardboard cutouts to the best of their ability. But I may or may not have photo evidence that these were not completely destroyed, but just somewhat. So, like, Heather was somewhat okay. But Ash has seen better days. Unless she's very limber, but
listen, I was dying when she grabbed her face off the floor and started kissing it and screaming at it. Like, listen,
she's fantastic.
I love Spitfire, don't get me wrong. I'm purposely not wearing the shirt because I always tend to jinx the band and they break up afterwards.
Don't want to jinx the band.
Don't want to jinx the band, aka the Coven, Jess and Courtney, like but you got to put the belts on these girls. I'm so sorry. You have to put the belt on the Elegance brand because this is hot, okay? Like, and not like in the it's hot, but it's like you cannot drop the ball on this. Like their characters, they're working really well for being. I mean, Heather came in and was basically right away paired right with her, so it's not even been a long time, but like they cohabitate really well with each other and they play off of each other really well. And I just think they do great character work with that playing off of each other. And I love Spitfire, please don't get me wrong, but it would be a mistake to not put the belts on and keep that entertainment ball rolling. Because you can, all right, so they got their shenanigans, they're really funny, whatever. Now imagine them with the belts. They're going to take that 10 times up a notch, and I can't wait.
Elevated. Now, you know what? I'm going to go with some TNA history because I know you have an opinion on, but I think it's something we should bring up because obviously, but I don't think for good reason, Elegance gets compared to a former TNA Knockouts team.
It's totally
maybe the most decorated. And I know you have a strong opinion on that team as well. But obviously, I think you have different opinions on these teams, but for very valid reasons.
Because I can look at decades of wrestling, because I'm not new to this. I've been around since I was 3 apples tall, all right, buddy? There has always been some iteration of the same team in the generations. PMS, the Beautiful People, oh my God, the Australian girls, what the hell?
Oh, the Inspiration.
The Inspiration. And, there's always going to be, because there's just that subtext of, there's just that genre of women. So they're all going to be pretty similar, but it just depends on who can actually do it.
There you go. There you go. And I think, I think it's the character work with elegance that and obviously they like very different than like the beautiful people with cute Kip. Different dynamic.
Yeah.
Well, I enjoyed both, but very different. Just like how, what was it? People were comparing Ash originally to Tony Storm. Like, very different. Like, you're just looking with someone
Tony
talking
was
about
doing like an old Hollywood gimmick, wasn't
very
she?
different.
Like a messed up Marilyn Monroe. And wouldn't you say that was very similar to the hot mess Chelsea Green's character?
You could always find little pieces of it, but you don't have to pigeonhole.
Yeah.
That's like, you don't have to stereotype and put people into, like, everyone's a little different. Not to say wrestling we've not seen carbon copies of other people doing the exact same gimmick, because that has happened, but not in those instances. But just figured bring that up for a little context. But let's go. We go backstage to Mean Gia Miller interviewing the team of PCO and Sami Callihan, mainly Sami Callihan, saying their chaos and unpredictability will get them to Genesis. And PCO commends Gia on her interview. But obviously, if they win later tonight, they're in the tag title match at Genesis. So.
I'm sorry. All I was thinking is like PCO reminds me of like a drunk uncle at the holiday party who's napping in the lounger while everyone's trying to get him to eat because he drank too much. And he's like, I'm not hungry yet. Oh, I'll eat when I'm ready. Everyone's got an uncle PCO. Like that.
Uncle PCO.
Uncle PCO. Pierre.
Yeah, Uncle Rhino.
Oh, wait.
PCO. All right, so
and Sami Callihan. I'm wearing a Sami Callihan Death shirt.
Oh, there you go. I didn't know what you said. Sami Callihan. Sami. Good stuff. We get a little tag team action. Now, and we were talking about this last week. But the team of Eric Young and Steve Maclin, which is now obviously like Gresham, we saw got pretty much taken out.
Right.
So it's just EY and Maclin. Yep. Against first class. AJ Francis and KC Navarro. What'd you think of this tag team extravaganza?
It was fun. Of course, I'm more vested in Steve Maclin and Eric Young. It's only because Eric Young has the best theme music on the roster, period.
I'll tell you what. Very good theme music, yes. But, and this is where they corrected, like, this is the smart thing, and I'm not sure if it was just all TNA, but this is something, and I'll give a kudos. Like, when some of the TNA talent was showing up on WWE and, like, NXT, they were making slight alterations to their theme songs, like, to just get the moments. Like, the one thing with EY's song, it was a long drag out. Especially in the tag team.
The real song is like that.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. That's the real song. Right. But they focused on like hitting that moment quicker.
Yeah.
Especially with the tag team.
Understandable.
That's the things you got to do. So once again, kudos to figuring that out and making like doing the course correction and figuring out like you get great on an indie show. Like play it out, drag it out, but on TV, tighten it up.
I feel like it should be played in the longer version if it's a serious match.
Okay.
But speaking of matches, their pay-per-view matches should be Eric Young wearing his KC Slater mask and Steve Maclin wearing his face paint. I'm just saying.
Okay.
It's like pay-per-views is like wartime. Like,
well, that's the thing, because we did have the recent face paint from Maclin, but it was quite a while since we've seen that last. So I'm just interested to see if we're going to see
paint for him.
Are we going to have more face paint this year from Maclin?
Or maybe make him a mask that looks like the face paint.
Oh, maybe. I would.
It'll be like that era of wrestling.
But I think like Big Four live show, like the live shows, face painted up, Steve. Let's go.
Yeah. It's like start a mass thing again, like in the, what was it, a couple of years, like 5-6 years ago, when everyone was getting those leather made masks from that guy on the indies. And who started that? Was it OVE? I think so. They started it because they were wearing those demon masks, and I guess it caught big, and everybody started wearing the mask, which made them have to stop wearing the mask because they got so overplayed that everybody was doing it.
That's the thing you always got to watch out, is it being overdone or things like that. So you got to, well, once again, you do it at the right times, but it's almost felt like it was too little, like you were never using it. So
yeah,
there could be a fine. There's a sweet spot for it. There's a sweet spot.
Agreed. I was just gonna say, I guess time and place.
Yes,
it's got to mean something.
But speaking of, we get a big win here for EY and Steve Maclin. While I was playing out, I wasn't sure. You know me, I'm a first class devotee. I think very good things about First Class in their future.
For sure.
But they were kind of putting it together, this team of Maclin and EY. So they do need to get some big wins to kind of get momentum going forward. But so they do get the win, but as soon as they get the win, we get a certain tag team shows up. Yeah, you know
who they're. Know something? Boston energy. I love her.
There was some big Boston energy right there. But yeah, we get Eddie and Brian Myers showing up. And then we get confirmation that will be at Genesis, that tag team match. So Maclin and EY against the System of Eddie Edwards and Brian Myers. So that should be a good one. That should be a good one.
Mm-hmm.
Now I know just to kind of highlight here with the chat, I know a lot of talk right now about ring announcer. Now, I haven't seen him in the chat. Doesn't mean he's not there.
Mm-hmm.
But obviously, Jade Alexander has been very vocal. I know she was highlighting today on her socials that this is this was her final show. So we know there will be a new ring announcer come this weekend at TNA. But it's not said who it is.
It'll be a surprise at Genesis.
It will be a surprise. I know a lot of people, and honestly, I'm thinking myself, it's probably like it could be someone internal, somebody that with a history. But obviously, a friend of the show, one of our best friends of the show, David Penzer, who was obviously the ring announcer, well, obviously longtime ring announcer here, and obviously WCW before that. But I think he was on some other interview circuit that he may have said something about like not expecting a call to return.
Yeah,
but hey, this is the because he remember obviously they gave him the award and everything, but this is the wrestling business. You can always come back.
Never say never, Jesus.
Never say never. So hey, if I see David Penzer, that might be my pop of the night. If I see him with the cummerbund doing some ring announcing. But if not David Penzer, we know another longtime TNA ring announcer is working with the company right now backstage, and that is Hemi powered Christy Hemi.
Wouldn't that be cool?
So that once again, hey, if you're going internal, that would be cool because Christy obviously has a long history with the company as well, so would not be against that. A shout out to another friend of TNI who may or may not be in the chat, but I know he would never reveal himself because every time I say he's ring announcing, maybe backstage, he'll never admit it. But that is good old Kevin Martin. who, if you've seen the Heels Have Eyes shows, the West Side Gun shows, he's been their on-screen ring announcer there. So that's another internal option. So obviously, I'd like to see any of them do it. So no, a lot of good options. So once again, nothing confirmed or out there, but would definitely give kudos, or like that would be my short. Oh, and you know what? I know people have kind of asked her, and she's kind of responded in like we'll see type ways. She did a little bit of ring announcing with TNA, and that is Mackenzie Mitchell. I know
it's been a hot minute.
It's been a while, but I was a fan of Mackenzie. So obviously she was mainly backstage, like doing like interviews and stuff. But I know when her and Melissa Santos were kind of doing a dual thing here and there with ring announcing. So that would be my list.
It might just throw it out there. Gia.
If Gia wanted to do something like that, but she's so busy doing her, like I could see Gia in any role. Like I could see.
She's so good.
Oh, I see. We didn't get Penzer, but we did get Kevin Martin with a heck of a little shot there.
Now that's someone I'd rather see up here.
Well, you know what? And let's see what we got here. Because honestly, I have not done all of these. I have not tested a lot of them. But let's try this one. Say his name. I believe in Kevin Martin. So,
and let's awkwardly sway out of sync with each other. You guys got to listen, can I just say really quick, when you guys do the sway, get in sync with each other.
You're preaching to the choir here, Alicia. Although I'm learning more and more.
This is too fast.
It's too fast. Well, follow his motion. Follow his
like
motion.
A gentle tree, guys. You got to.
Well, he doesn't sway like a gentle tree, though. But that would probably look the best, swaying like a gentle tree. Yeah, you're right.
I don't care what he does. It doesn't matter. He's the guy. But like everybody in the crowd, you gotta. It just looks wonky.
It looks wonky.
It looks wonky on this TV.
A little bit wonky.
It's an upset ocean.
But it's just like the bigger the crowd, and it doesn't happen as much on indie shows and like smaller shows, but obviously the bigger it is, like where like chants, because like it goes through the arena. Like, so like one part of it's chanting, then the other part, and then they all got to figure out, well, who's going to take lead on it. And then you actually get something going. It doesn't have that organic feel to it.
We got to start practicing before the show, guys.
Got to put
everybody meet in the parking lot and we'll all go over it together. I'll bring the megaphone. No, I should put you in charge because you go to all the shows, Bill. I go to the ones closest.
There you go. Closest. Well, and right now the closest, because we're in the same general neck of the woods, is Long Island for Slammiversary. A little closer. A little closer.
Not going to New York.
But who knows? Based on the current thing, I'm not sure where that venue is in our market. Because you could go very big. Like it might be Wells Fargo Center. I don't know.
Oh, shit.
Like that might be the next venue.
Oh, maybe that'd be cocool. Sorry, I can't click the comments, so sorry in advance, guys. Antonio Baker, the Guerreros are going to show up at Genesis. Maybe it's Matt's wife. Shall?
You know what? You can actually say that as well. Yeah, Shoal or Shall. I'm not actually sure of the.
She's got great energy.
Yeah, because I know her sister definitely said, and obviously she's married to Matthew Raywald. So
right.
I think these are all potential options.
We'll just have to wait and see till Sunday, guys.
Yeah, a lot of options. So yeah, I'll
love
tell you,
the pick so far.
Kmart, Kevin Martin, so cool. So Genesis is going to be pretty fun. Yeah, it's definitely going to be pretty fun. Look at this. I love all the TNA people. they keep it tight-lipped. Love it. Love it. That's how it should be. And hey, you know what? I'm just going to see, because kudos to our UK brethren who have been loading up the soundboard. Don't know a lot of them yet, so I just might play around with some of them. But they all right, here, let me get back to it here. And you know what? I'm totally drawing a blank on it now.
Oops.
So forget that. We'll put that to the side for now. Let's get back to
The show.
And
Rosemary
that
Last
is
segment?
that's yes, yeah. The confessional, they call it. That she's been waiting over 7 years for the title, that she's gonna get it back. And then Masha's saying,
how does it feel that I passed you by?
yeah, oh yeah,
Not
there you go.
verbatim, but well, because that's some fuel to the fire, ain't it? Is like the new shiny toy looking at the old vintage and being like, what you gonna do, biatch? But what if Rosemary shanks her?
That's and then Masha leaving us with Rosemary would either touch the sky or drag him to hell. What the? Get it dark here with the Knockouts title.
Don't threaten me with a good time.
Yeah, with Rosemary, I expect nothing less. So definitely.
Wouldn't it be crazy if Masha went through some strange Undead Realm shit where she had like a Courtney Rush moment?
It's been a while
like an
since
alter
we've been in the Undead Realm, so I would not be against it. I know certain universes within TNA are more heavily debated among the TNA fandom. I think for the most part, but obviously when you go into the Undead Realm, you're going into another world. Like you're suspending things. But it's cinematic. Like you can, that's the thing. But I like Wrestle House and things like that. Like I'm fans of all of these, but I know they become divisive. They can be divisive as well. But once again, I don't know. Will we see more of that this year? Less of that? I'm not sure.
I just think it looks cleaner. Like, well, it just looks better when they do the cinematic.
I'll say this: if you're gonna do it, yes, if you're gonna do it, like I think a perfect example was what we just came out of, like the end of the year. Like if you're gonna do limited shows and need more space to fill on TV, that's when you unleash that kind of content. Like that'd be a great time, because I think they all have a good time. Like for some reason, randomly, and it was with Tessa coming back, but she hadn't given any interviews yet, and she's just starting to do like interviews that are starting to make the rounds. But like it was like an old WrestleCade interview showed up from a couple years ago during her last run, and it was right off of like IPWF, and like she was talking to like Ethan Page, and there were some other people, and you could just tell how much they love doing that show. Like the IPWF show, like just to something total. Like I think that's a good thing. Like having now, once again, it doesn't have to be anything live, but like playing other characters, doing
and the results don't matter because it's just for funsies. It's like a charity show to a certain degree, where it's like everybody. It doesn't matter who wins or loses. It doesn't count for anything. It's just everyone doing something different and having fun doing it.
Yeah, and hey, I like seriousness in wrestling too at times, like where like hey like that's an ass beating right there, like just like the intimidation factor, like the like more of like the MMA style match from time to time, but then you lighted it up with some of this other stuff. I think that's what TNA's always done a great job is the mix. So I think you can have all those things. Like you don't need to be one style, be like, oh, we're a professional wrestling league and like it's all wins and losses. That's not how it goes. You're always gonna book yourself into a wet paper bag if you do it that way. I do like the if you're not already in the chat with Kevin Martin and Daniel Spencer and all the TNA luminaries, you should be, because it's all getting exciting. I will make my sojourn down to Texas early Saturday. Then I'll make sure to have my cowboy hat.
Surely.
To do my Texas two-step.
Your boot, scoot, and boogie.
Well, I'm still debating boots or not. I don't think I'm not a boot guy.
Well, no one's gonna see him.
My dad's
no
a
one's
boot
gonna
guy.
see him.
The only boots I would ever wear, and I've worn to a wrestling show before, is my moose boots. I do have my moose boots that I used to wear with during the early days.
Okay.
But little Moose may or may not be in the chat because he is at times. But the Moose boots actually are a pair of Jordans with like a zip up boot. So it's actually wear like sneakers. So, but comfy. Wait a second. Hold on. Better late than never.
Oh shit.
David Penzer in the chat.
Hey.
Spencer and Martin, luminaries. Hello.
So real quick, you're gonna wear your 10-gallon hat and your bolo tie?
I do not have a bolo tie.
You can buy one in Texas.
But I may wear a hat. I will not confirm it, but I may wear a hat. So we'll see. I gotta get into it. But good to see you, David Penzer. We've been talking about there's gonna be a new ring announcer this weekend. We mentioned names. I don't know if there's a sentimentality here, a strong sentimentality from the TNI show. But then if not, because we like I said, that'd be my pop of the night. David Penzer showing up. But Kevin Martin, I think he's been doing a great job with the Heels Have Eyes. So it'd be great to get that opportunity. Personal ring announcer for the Good Brothers. And then obviously Christy Hemme backstage. Or maybe somebody on the outside. You never know. Because I said, I know he was, I think you gave an interview recently where you were saying, oh no, it ain't going to be me. But he's killing
dream,
it.
Right?
He's killing real estate. But I'd still like to see it. I'll never not like to see it. But hey, David Penzer, hey, let us know what you think. We were talking about the big news earlier about the NXT/WWE TNA partnership. Because everybody's excited. All of us, everybody's excited. But there's a buzz. There's definitely a buzz. So, but after that segment, we get some footage from what was it? One of the indies from Prestige Wrestling, featuring the Northern Armory, because they are actually having the storyline with Josh Alexander and the Northern Armory versus Mike Santana on the Indies, which you do see. Like, if people, like, you may see it at times, you may not, but if you, depending on the Indies and stuff, there's a good chance you might see actual TV storylines cross over. But this time, they actually showed the footage on TNA television, which is cool. Like, you get that crossover. So, like, even if you're not able to get to a TNA show, you might be able to go to your local indie show and get a storyline that's being featured on TV, which is pretty cool. But obviously they're attacking Santana there. We don't know what he's going to be able to do, and that leads into a in-ring promo where Josh is saying there's no way he's going to be ready to go for Genesis, but we get the light cut out. And obviously who shows up? Mike Santana. And I know we were hearing it the previous week and they were going all in on it. Did you hear the chant? I don't know if you heard from last week. Did you make out the chant?
No.
The chant from the crowd for all of our follically challenged friends. Bald ass head. They were giving it to poor Josh.
I mean, he wears earmuffs.
He does. Only
he's from the
Johnny
North.
Bravo's allowed to wear earmuffs.
Well, you better take that up with Josh. I'm kidding. I'm just happy.
No.
Dig.
We like Josh, even though he doesn't want our cheers.
Speak for yourself. You can be his fan. That's okay.
All right. But right now we're Team Santana right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
it's gonna be a big year for him this year.
Yeah. He says he's gonna go hard after him. As long as his heart's beating, he's gonna get him. And then he's gonna hit Texas like a freight train. And it's gonna be an I Quit match at Genesis. Which Josh accepts. And then he says he's going to teach him a lesson he should learn long ago. That he was at he's saying he shouldn't be up the card, that he should be low on the card. And then Santana's going back saying he's going to be the new standard of TNA. So once again, obviously I'm with you. This is a big year for Santana. The I Quit stipulation's interesting. And if that's the way that almost Josh goes out, I quitting to put over Santana, that once again, that will be a kudos on the way out. You want to go back here to David Penzer, who gives his insight. I'm going to say Sam Laterna or Mackenzie Mitchell. Once again, and Sam Laterna, she didn't do any, to my knowledge, I don't think so, any ring. She's done ring announcing, obviously, a lot of indies around the country. She was working, obviously, for TNA for a bit, doing more on the street and maybe some backstage. But that's a possibility. And obviously, we talked about Mackenzie Mitchell earlier, so I'd also support that as well. I'd be a fan. So, Bear, proud Baldy. There you go. You gotta love it. Then we get a singles match, maybe X Division again, I would say, because of sadly due to the injury to Hammerstone. Jake Something going against Laredo Kid. What were your thoughts on this match, Alicia?
Oh my gosh, sorry, brain fired. I think this was a good win for Jake Something because again, he needed that. Especially, I'm pretty sure Hammerstone is injured currently, so
for a while,
yeah. So they really gotta figure out his footing and push him from there because he's an exceptional talent and you brought him back for a reason, and I feel like we got to start giving him these reasons.
Yeah, because we've talked obviously about Jake a lot over the years.
We're big fans.
I still remember from obviously cousin Jake, but then we the whole deconstruction and kind of building him back. And then obviously I thought, and I still think the potential with those two together was very good. I think that was the right partner, Jake and Hammer Something. Like I said, just having those guys just walking around, lifting weights, being meatheads, that writes itself. But now Jake going back X Division, which was the big kind of angle at the beginning of last year. I think that's go back to that, pivot back. So it was a quick pivot. But then once again, I think but still Laredo. I want to see more out of Laredo because I think is with them looking to expand and grow, you have to be living under a rock to not know. And once again, kudos to WWE. Our former world champion, Penta, then known as Pentagon Jr., debuted on WWE television. They said he was a former TNA world champion. But using, having luchadors appealing to other markets and stuff with that style, I think is a good thing. So once again, I think Laredo is very good. And just like when like Black Truth's here, it just feels like there isn't enough of a push, shall we say. Feels like there is, and then there isn't. Just it never gets kind of the proper footing. So we'll see. We'll see going forward. But once again, someone's got to win, someone's got to lose. But for Jake, I understand because he's getting the push. So we go from that, and we are backstage. Well, no, it's a vignette with Ace Austin about going after the X Division title against Moose. And he talks about the inspiration from the Hardys, and he's dedicating the match to Chris Bay. Austin, he talks about show Moose what the X Division's all about. So very cool, like a very cool package here. I think same thing, like once again, sadly due to injury, a pivot here where you had to go Ace singles, getting him back in the X Division, and then obviously going after Moose, who he knows what he's doing with the X Division title, where he's talking about like he's it feels like he's going to be showing a new belt at Genesis. So once again, another. I think great job here. Obviously, once again, just shout out all here. TNI, the fandom, wishing Chris Bay the best. Continue. I know they're still doing, like a lot of people are doing stuff like donating items still, and obviously the GoFundMe, and we link below. So definitely anything you can do to support Chris Bay. All big fans here of the ABC. But it's going to be tough because obviously I root for Ace a lot, but I'm always Team Moose. So it's going to be a struggle for me during that match.
Yeah.
Which feels like it happens too often. So we go to the tag match. No title on the line, but the ability to join the title match as the Hardys face Sami Callihan and PCO. Your thoughts on this tag team matchup, Alicia?
Let me see here. Thought it was fun. Thought it was festive. Of course, Jeff and Matt got the win, which I'm surprised because, how do you beat PCO?
Shenanigans.
And Sami Callihan.
Oh, we're actually wearing opposing shirts for tonight.
Oh, are we?
Oh. Hardys, and you have Sami.
That's wow, that wasn't planned at all. Yeah, I mean, I'm a fan of both sides. So, like, I think this was just overall a fun match, regardless of who won or lost. I feel like this is one of those matches where it doesn't really matter who, because it doesn't affect either side, but it was a fun match nonetheless.
It was. Now, what do you think? Do you want to keep seeing Sami and PCO like as a team? And the only reason I'm saying that, because I do like the dynamic, but at some point we got to address the digital media title situation.
My money's on Alicia. With assistance from the system, my money's on
bring
Alicia.
It back? But intergender?
Isn't it an intergender belt?
It started as an intergender belt. But I'm not sure if it still is. I don't know if it is.
It's an intergender belt. Anyway.
I believe that was, because I like that ability that it could be anybody's belt. Technically, all TNA belts. Well, technically, the X Division.
I mean, even...
Which never has had a knockout holder, which shocks me still. But the world title, because we've seen it.
Right, obviously.
And the digital media title. Or intergender belts.
Yeah.
And technically, the knockouts tag titles.
Right. I just think it should be. They haven't announced a change as far as I know, so I'm just gonna put my money on that. But
they just stopped having knockouts compete. a while back.
It's got to go out of his hands because they're clearly not doing anything, and why not put it on someone who this could be an opportunity for someone else? And it's been like what, over a year that he's been the champ. I feel like at this point, they're not doing anything with it. Why hold it?
Yeah.
No disrespect to PCO by any means, but I feel like if they're gonna put him in a tag team with Sami, it doesn't make sense for him to, you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I agree with you. Like they got to
like
figure.
Leon Slater could have it. Ash by Elegance. There could be so many opportunities that you could be feeding for this belt, especially because it is a smaller belt.
But it feels like they could, like, obviously, Jordan and Cardona doing stuff with it when they were intergendering it, the .combat and all that. But I think PCO was a good one, especially with Slammiversary in Montreal. It all made a lot of sense. But now, like, I think you can elevate some people for sure.
PCO
Critical
doesn't
Sting.
need it.
When Jordan beat Rohit for the X Division belt.
God, no, I don't. I miss.
Well, no, that was up there. Like we were talking last week about the tag team match where the Rascals in Philly beat the North, and then it was overturned. Very similar to that situation.
Trent got a little too crunk.
Yeah, I wasn't going to say it, but now that it's since aired, Critical Sting mentioned that. Not to mention it'll be at another show during Genesis because he kind of let it out of the bag, PCO, that he's working the GCW Hammerstein show, which is the same date as Genesis. So obviously he wasn't going to be there anyway. But
can I also say this in regards to PCO and Sami being a tag team, that if they're really going to be serious about this, they got to get with the gimmick, and we need to start throwing a mad scientist jacket on Sami and have him
I like
firing them up. Get the
like
goggles and I don't know. It's probably
embrace
so
it.
corny. People hear this shit and they're like, "What the fuck?" Like,
I like that.
Alicia.
I'll tell you, that's one of the things where, like, when I would watch New Japan like years ago, and like they were doing like the Doc Brown gimmick, like and dressing up with it, like. That's where you embrace stuff like that. Like, I think that could be, and I think Sami's the type, like Sami does kind of go across the spectrum of stuff. Like he could be super serious deathmatch type wrestler, or he could be a jokester and a goofball. So I think that actually would be something. Like talk about IPWF earlier. How about him doing like the Jim Cornette type gimmick?
Yeah,
like
dude,
that's classic
really
stuff. Sonny Sanders.
Yeah.
That's good stuff.
It's like he does good character work, and I feel like that's something to be valued and to take advantage of, to be fair.
Mm-hmm. So we go from that. We get we have commentary there, and Jordan Grace pops up. Where she's saying that Tessa has not signed the contract for their match at Genesis. But she's not surprised. She's not surprised.
Well, I thought it was really funny that she goes up there and she's like, I found out through Santio, whoever, that she hasn't signed the contract. So you, commentary guy, if she passes through here, you make sure she signs this. And it's it's not his job. It's just like Santino sending Gia. Oh God, was it to tell Kazarian something that wasn't in the job description? It's like she better have gotten paid extra for that. Same for Tom and Matt. It's not their job. Santino, get your shit together.
Speaking of Santino, I think. Well, what do we have here for Santino? Let's test out Santino.
Now, was it you, or was it because you was kissing ass and sucking up to the...
Oh, that's calling out Santino. Oh, that's Santana. Oh, I only had half the visual here. I'm like, that doesn't sound like Santino. That's what you get when you try out the sound bites without seeing exactly what they are. But let's continue. So we have our pretty much our main event face-off.
Right.
We got the challenger Joe Hendry, TNA champ, world champ Nick Nemeth in the ring face to face. So you got Joe Hendry telling Nick that he has to win the match. He has to take the title, start a new era. And then obviously Nick's listening, but he's not really agreeing with him. But he's pretty much saying like, hey, it's a different lifestyle for you. Not sure really if he could handle it. And then they get talking about JBL and about back at Bound for Glory. But he's not really still saying anything.
Who, Nick?
Or his brother. Yeah.
Oh, it's just Hendry talking.
Talking.
I like to call this segment Two Truths and a Lie.
Oh, okay. All right.
And I am fairly certain that Nick absolutely does know what's going on with John.
I think we all think he knows.
And Ryan keeps saying Hendry isn't Nemeth's friend.
Correct, because he did come out.
But,
he joins the conversation.
But I think Hendry is Ryan's friend.
Ooh.
I think we're looking at a
You're saying
old-fashioned double cross.
The double turn.
The double turn. They're like, you know what I mean? It's like everyone's scheming, and then the schemes are like, wait, it's like that Spider-Man meme where they're all three of them are pointing at each other in suspense, like, wait, you. Hey, you look like me. But yeah, so Nick is in on John Brayful. They're gonna whatever. I don't know because he is like the knight coming in, doing his walking in the wind shit. JBL is, and then Ryan. I don't know. He's giving off them pick me vibes. He's getting a little too involved in his big brother's business.
Oh, he's all about big bro's business right now.
But he's not necessarily helping him.
He's
becoming a liability. But is that deliberate or just an accident? I mean, Hendry said it the best. He's got to win that belt. It's got to be a new era.
Oh, new era.
I said it, bitch. I said it.
Well, speaking of the infamous Layfield, JBL, it is interesting timing that he was also announced. Just as I'm saying it, Critical Sting just put it up there. JBL will be at Raw this Monday, which is also in Texas.
Convenient.
So,
the night
are they
after.
Going to crossover storylines? Maybe. Hey, look at the title of the show. We got a partnership brewing.
I mean, it's not like Nick doesn't have ties with the WWE, and he left.
He's got a lot of ties.
So, like, I could see someone like him having some kind of main roster crossover.
So yeah, no, everybody, let us know. Let us know your thoughts on this. Obviously, the big main event, Joe Hendry challenging Nick Nemeth for the belt. I know a lot of people were frustrated last year at Bound for Glory, where he did not win the title. But you have the lingering JBL situation, and I'll say it here. I've said it. I'll keep saying it. I'm feeling not as optimistic that we're going to get a resolution. I think we're going to have more JBL actions that cause results, but we're not going to get an answer. Especially now that he's showing up at Raw as well. I feel like I just don't know. I don't know. That has to have a payoff.
I got to say this, and I think I've been saying it. They got to shit or get off the pot with Hendry. Like, no disrespect, but like, he's the virality can only last so long, and if you're not rolling with the virality, it doesn't stay viral. It fizzles out. That's how
I got to imagine there was a rube. There was a creative rube. And there had to be people that were like, we were giving them the belt, and other people said we're not giving them the belt for this reason.
That trend is dead on TikTok, I'm telling you.
Oh, so well now he's got to prove it in the rig. He's got to prove it in the rig.
Yep.
But I'll say this: he shows up at the Royal Rumble with the belt, like at least in the wrestling community. Mm-hmm. But hey, who are we kidding? TikTok's banned. There is no viral TikTok anymore.
It's done for. But I'm saying is that it lasted for a hot minute. There were people who didn't even know wrestling who were using the sound wave as the trend. But for months now, it's been crickets with the Joe Hendry thing.
Yeah, that was the thing. That's when you did lose by not giving it to him at Bound for Glory, because that was the apex of it. So
I mean,
it is
even
something to keep in mind.
Went viral, like.
So let's go. So that's pretty much what we got there. But we did have some shenanigans here at the end. Like you get the super kick, like in the end, because with Ryan Nemeth getting involved, there's some pushing, some pulling, and then it winds up with Nick Nemeth super kicking Joe Hendry.
Because don't pick on my little brother.
That's right. He's still got to stick up for his brother.
Wouldn't it be so unsuspecting if Ryan was in on his ruin?
Well, if anything, Ryan's in on something because JBL hit him. And then so
maybe he's behind JBL.
Could be.
Trying to watch out for his brother? I don't know, man.
He's gonna come out with a hat. Being JBL's protege.
A hat and a duster and a bolo tie.
There you go.
I'm really on the bolo tie. You can't go to Texas and have a bolo tie.
It's all about the bolo tie. You say bolo tie, and I just keep thinking about that South Park episode with where Stan gets the bolo tie.
I vaguely remember
his grandfather buying some infomercial, like a sales QVC type show.
Okay, yeah, I remember.
Where they're like, it's worth $60,000, and we're gonna give it to you right now for $5.
Great.
Good old bolo, but we think that's probably the end of the show, but we get Tessa Blanchard showing up. As someone said, just randomly walking around the commentary to sign the contract. So she must have got a word for Jordan Grace. But then, who shows up? Jordan from the crowd and attacks.
She popped up like, surprise, bitch.
Yeah, she came out of nowhere. Wow. Gets her in the ring, hits the Juggernaut driver. You think gonna leave her for dead in the ring, but then she just kicks her out of the ring.
Bitch went down. Bam, bitch went down.
And then that's now the end of the show. Yeah. So we got both the world title and the Knockouts world title to kind of close out the show. Once again, putting go home show, Genesis, sell the show. That's what they're doing. But obviously all surrounded by the new WWE NXT TNA partnership. What final thoughts, Alicia, on this show as we go into Genesis here?
I feel like this was a really good go home show, and I feel like it's perfectly done. It gives you the hype of all the things, kind of leaves things on some blank notes or whatever, but it leads you going into the pay-per-view expecting surprises. There's drama, there's intrigue, there's, I don't know, it's all over the place. But
because right now, obviously, we talked about it. NXT is now in in one of the promo videos for it, so it's like Genesis, TNA Genesis NXT. Or next. So, there's going to be an NXT presence, unknown. JBL's involved somehow, unknown. So you got, there could be even other surprises. Like a lot of TNA alumni with the story going on today with the WWE involvement, like a lot of alumni of TNA are talking. So who knows what's going on? There's a lot of buzz, big show. You're gonna follow it up obviously next Thursday. It's live. We're
Yeah.
live. So a lot going on here, a lot to really play out. Genesis obviously going to be a huge show. But hey, as we talked a lot tonight and in the chat, like we'll see we'll see our new ring announcer. We're going to see new people, new faces. 2025 is going to be a big year for TNA. So this is something to look forward to, something to get excited about. Like I said, and if you do have reservations about anything, give us some time, let it play out, see. Like so far, I'd say so far, everything's been positive, but now that things are more official, we'll see if anything changes where it's not. But like I said, I if you were tentative, I think some trust has been earned, but we'll see if it continues. But if you weren't here live, definitely comment down below. Let us know your thoughts on a lot of the topics we discussed involving both the partnership and Genesis coming up. We'll see. This is obviously a Sunday show. Alicia, hopefully you're available. I'm not sure who else may be available from the TNI team, but the plan will be to go live, obviously, a little bit after the show. I'll obviously be there, so hopefully good connection in Texas, and we'll get the review going probably about a half hour or so after, and then back next Thursday for the aftermath of the live show, which that's the first time in quite some time that TNA's been live. So definitely looking forward to that. But if you haven't already done so, hit the like button, ring the bell for notifications, follow us. Make sure you find out whenever we're going live if you missed us. Because especially with this, I know J-Bone and I were doing Tuesday after NXT shows for a bit when big TNA storylines were there. If this becomes a common trend, there's a good chance you'll be seeing even more content from TNI on the topics of the day. So definitely looking forward to everything coming up. Once again, I know with the news here, a lot of new faces were either in the comments or just watching. So definitely join the Discord if you like, and you can, same thing, if you want to comment, go with topics, you can. But if you just want to see discussions and get more information that way, that's fine too. Always appreciate it. So, Alicia, thanks again for joining me tonight. We'll see what comes up with some of the other band members of TNI as we go forward, but hopefully we can get some more of them soon. But then until then, we'll see you next time. Thanks again, everybody.